The United States military has drawn up contingency options for potential on-ground strikes to intervene in Nigeria. The plan reportedly includes 3 levels of military options: light, medium, and heavy, all designed to be escalatory. The light option involves partner-enabled operations where the U.S. would assist Nigerian forces in targeting Boko Haram and other militants. The medium option involves drone strikes on militant camps, bases, and convoys. And a heavy option would deploy an aircraft carrier group into the Gulf of Guinea with fighter jets and possibly long-range bombers conducting strikes deep within northern Nigeria. I mean, this revelation that, the Pentagon has actually drawn up strike plans escalates the crisis from rhetoric to potential reality. Well, in the meantime, United States Senator Tommy Tuberville has voiced his support for President Trump's threat of military action in Nigeria. Appearing on Fox News, the Alabama Republican senator backed Trump's position on alleged Christian genocide in Nigeria, endorsing potential intervention to protect Christians.
Would you support U.S. troops going into Nigeria?
No, you bet I would. 62,000 Christians killed in Nigeria, 100,000 killed in Africa, 18,000 churches burned. Now, there's a lot of evidence there, and that's probably an underestimate, John, but we cannot allow this to happen to people that can't defend themselves. It's just absolutely insane. If we need to get involved in something like this, President Trump could end that in a heartbeat. This wouldn't be like going into Russia or China or North Korea or Iran. This would be going and helping innocent people that would be able to take back over their country. It's a shame something like this happened, but we can't overlook it. We can't underestimate it.
Well, the senator's remarks represents the first major congressional backing for Trump's threat to invade Nigeria, signaling that the president may have support among Republican lawmakers for military intervention. This adds a concerning legislative dimension to Trump's threats, suggesting this may not merely be presidential rhetoric, like I said, but could gain congressional support. In the meantime, in another development, this is quite reassuring, Ayo. I mean, it's good to see that the presidency and also the president is willing to collaborate at this point, reassuring Nigeria that there is, of course, like he mentioned, the constitutional rights to practice religion freely. But we also have the conversation about the Sharia law and the blasphemy law, which is, almost embedded in the constitution, in the Nigerian constitution. I'd like for you to buttress that part of that
Section 38 of the Constitution guarantees religious freedom for all Nigerians. And it says that no state, part of it is that no state must have a dominant religious. Nigeria is a secular state in essence. It means that if I'm a Muslim and I live in the north, south, east, south, I should be able to practice my religion without fear or discrimination. If I'm a Christian, as a Christian, I am able to go to any part of the country and practice my religion without fear, discrimination, or enticement or forcing for me to move away to another religion. Now, these are some of the issues that have now come off. And I've talked about it is high time we start to have these uncomfortable conversations, yes. OG. And I believe that this incident, sad incident, gives rise to also correct some things that have not been right. If you speak to a number of people living, particularly in the north, and I say this with all sense of responsibility, a number of Christians have talked about how some of these terrorist organizations who are termed as Islamic terrorist organizations, the Boko Haram, which is most prominent, actually target people who are not of the faith, so whether it be Christians or moderate Muslims. And that's why you can understand why many of them have talked about their churches being burned, Christians dying, priests being kidnapped, a number of people targeting. If you recall during the last administration of El Rufai in Kaduna State, we know how polarized it was. Christians seem to not be protected at all. Thanks to the governor now, Obasani, who is doing a lot of work in trying to reconcile fragmented relationships. So beyond this targeting of Christians. It's also the freedom to practice. OJ, in some parts of these areas, they say that when churches, you know, the land is owned by the government, the state government. After 100 years, you can apply for it to be renewed. That there's some churches who go to apply, and there are some policies that silently target religious freedom in these areas. We haven't spoken up for these people. Many times we talk about people who are on certain days or certain religious festivals. We heard Professor Warren talk about that. We have killings in these areas. What does that mean? It means that people are afraid to actually fully express themselves. When you have a state where Sharia law is in operation, how can a Christian freely practice their religion in that area? These are the things that we need to start talking about so that we don't have this narrative of religious intolerance. Beyond that, we brought up the issue of Deborah Solomon in Sokoto State, Samuel, where people were afraid to speak out or speak up. Yes, because of yes, she said something that the other faith said, oh, it wasn't of their faith. Yes. She has freedom of expression. I think what was a bigger travesty was the fact that despite what happened, nobody was apprehended. Till today, even though their faces are in public glare, they were not afraid. They did it brazenly. So there are some parts of the country where your religious freedom is up to a certain limit. Yes. It is curtailed. We have to be honest about this. And I believe that one of the things that this situation will bring to light is the fact that in some sectors of Nigeria, some people do not actually have that constitutionally guaranteed right to religious freedom. We need to talk about that. We need to be honest about that. And by being honest about that is the foundation to solving the problem.
And that is a big point. Thank you, Ayo, for highlighting that part of the speech. We're talking about religious persecution here. Christians being killed. That is really the main topic. But you know, Tinubu is saying that we will defeat terrorism, whether internally or with collaboration. And you know, also the fact that the minister's message of calm reflects the Nigerian government's strategy of projecting stability despite sobering realities, while the administration emphasizes being, you know, not in a panic mode and reaffirms constitutional guarantees of religious freedom. Nigeria ranks number 6 on the Global Terrorism Index, just above Somalia and Israel. This is a stark contradiction that undermines reassurances of effective security management. And we're looking at this graph. I mean, this disconnect between, you know, official messaging and international assessment exposes the challenges facing the Tinubu administration at the moment. If we can pull up that graph so we can actually see, you know, where we rank in the Global Terrorism Index at this moment. Rufai, I'd like for your thoughts also with the fact that the U.S. is, you know, preparing to put boots on ground. Also, the president's reassurance, and he's, you know, this is the first time we're hearing him speak at the moment.
With that data you released, it shows that the government narrative is not working. Nigeria ranks 6 on terrorism index. The question is, what was our ranking close to 20 years ago before all of this terrorism started? So it shows that in the last over 15 years, government has not done a lot to nip things in the bud. See, Ralph Waldo Emerson said something, that what you do speaks so loud I can't hear what you say. What Nigeria has done as a nation, as regards religion, it speaks so loud that we can't hear what it says. According to the Constitution, there is no state religion, but a government that has subsidized religious travels. Under what basis and what guise has it done that? Is that not an affirmation of the idea of state religion? A government that increasingly have not been able to nip perpetrators of heinous crimes against people with religious affiliation in the bud. A government where a government official said he had nothing wrong with blasphemy. And I'll tell you this, I have seen ex-government officials laugh at me because I have a Muslim background and I converted to Christianity. Yes.
What's the laugh about? I don't understand what that means. Well, why?
That I am deluded.
Okay.
My mother is Christian. I went through the religious understanding process as a child, but I'm Christian.
All right.
But I respect my Muslim background. In fact, I do a lot for a family mosque that's built in our village. But I've seen government officials laugh at me, an ex-government official, laugh at me when I put out that tweet saying I don't know what I was doing. Right. So you can see that what we do is different. And there have been persecution along the lines of religion.
Yes.
Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because every religion should be able to respect one another in Nigeria. Yep. And that's one thing we are not doing enough. But the most important point I want to make, the complicity in the security architecture is a big problem.
All right.
The fact that people are complicit, I think because see, it even makes it difficult for the fighting soldiers to trust each other. And that's why we've constantly condemned narratives of people that defend bandits and terrorists. So these are the problems we should look at. We want solutions.
This is it.
But we need to live in a fair society.